All right, let's see. Still got. Okay. Important. All right. Yeah, let me take. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. My name is Tim. For anybody that might be new, I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. We are working, broadly speaking, on CircuitPython stuff on this stream, most typically. If you don't know anything about that, you can learn more at CircuitPython.org. This is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers, and it allows you to write Python code to interact with other electronics. Lots of these devices come in different shapes and sizes and capabilities. Some of them have built-in hardware like screens and touch overlays, or key switches and knobs, alligator clip pins, or motor plugins, or all kinds of different things that you can get on these devices. The thing that ties together almost 450 devices on this page is that all support CircuitPython. Means if you choose to run CircuitPython on them, then you can write that Python code, interact with whatever you decide to hook up your microcontroller to. If you want to learn more, like I said, CircuitPython.org. I also encourage you to check out the Discord, which is linked down below. There's a CircuitPython dev channel and a help with CircuitPython channel where you can either get involved if you want to start helping development. It's an open source project, or if you are just trying to use CircuitPython for something and want help or have ideas you want to talk about or whatever, that's the place to do that. As always, I'll say thank you to Adafruit. This is their website, adafruit.com. Adafruit's the company that is financially backing CircuitPython by paying the developers who are working on the project. a team of developers who Adafruit pays to work on the project full time. There are some folks like me who are paid to work on the project part time, and Adafruit is the one making that possible. So if you want to help support the project, one of the ways you can do that is just head over to adafruit.com and purchase hardware from them. And then we must say I got to run and those, but then I will be right back and actually get started. Okay. How's it going, Johnny? Morning. Playing with this today. Let's see what you got. Unexpected maker. Let's see. Okay, nice. They did a boatload of the 14 segment. Oh, from more games. Okay. Oh, cool. And it has stamps for you to use. Go in a shield. That's cool. Yeah, Unexpected Maker has lots of cool stuff. I had not seen, honestly, the thing I've seen of most of theirs are microcontrollers. I have not seen the add-ons like that. Really cool. Acrylic something cases. Oh, I didn't notice the notice those laser etched ones on the top. Wait, do those have do those like get LEDs shined up on them to make the numbers visible more? Guessing with the little laser etching inside there, tiny pico size. The analog. Does display the DEF CON label, nice. Or to display the RGBs, nice. Really cool. Okay, let's see. So today, like I said before, broadly speaking, typically work on CircuitPython stuff. Today, in particular, we're looking at Circup, which is the command line utility that can be used for installing CircuitPython libraries on your device. If you are familiar at all with pip, PIP, the Python packaging utility, or NPM, the Node.js packaging utility, if you're familiar with those kind of like concepts, how they work for running commands to install dependencies, that is basically what Circup is, but it's for CircuitPython dependencies, and it installs them on your microcontroller for you. Two things I want to look at today. One of them is this PR that we have open, that's actually been open for a while. I want to take a look at it because nobody else has yet. It also seems pretty cool. And the other one, I figure, while I am kind of diving in, so to speak, to Circup, something that I would look at is this, which C. Grover was talking about, asking about during the meeting, and made the issue over here. And this is basically, the core question here is, how do we tell Circup the requirements for a library when those requirements are not inside of PyPy? They are in the community bundle, but they are not in PyPy. So as the example in the specific libraries that Cedar Grove was interested in, there is Cedar Grove Chime, which relies on Cedar Grove MIDI tools. So Cedar Grove MIDI tools is a requirement for Cedar Grove Chime. Both of them are in the community bundle, but neither of them are deployed to PyPy, which means that requirements.txt cannot really be the place where we look find them. We need a different place where Circup can look, because right now Circup does look inside requirements.txt, but it's expecting to find PyPy named modules inside of there, not what I'll call Circup named modules, which have slightly different naming scheme, I guess. Like as an example of that, if we look at a CircuitPython library like display text. How's it going, Dude Devin? Good morning. Look at display text. So this will say pip install. I have a pip install in here. That's usually in the readmes. Anyway, so for pip, when you want to install display text, you're going to go and say pip install Adafruit -CircuitPython -display -text. That's how you would install that with pip. But how you would install it with Circup is actually Circup space install space Adafruit _display _text. There's no CircuitPython, and it's underscores instead of hyphens. So we have the pip naming, which is this, and we have what I'm going to refer to as the Circup naming, which is this. And requirements.txt is expecting to find these. So libraries that aren't on PyPy aren't going to have this, or like it's not going to be real, I guess. You could use a pretend one and maybe it could be made to work, but it's not good, because then pip is going to break when it tries to install from the requirements file. But what we need is another place that's not requirements.txt where we can list requirements in this format. And then we need Circup to look in that place, find the list of requirements, and run, Circup install on each one of them as it's going through and installing whatever the base library was. So in our case, user typed CircuitPython Circup install Cedar Grove Chime, and then Circup itself is going to find Cedar Grove MIDI tools inside this list we're going to make and install it as part of the process for installing Chime. That's the goal. I don't know if we'll make it all the way there today. I have not ever really delved too far into Circup, so I don't really know how it works, and some part of my time today will just be poking around trying to figure out how it works. But that's the goal. How does pip, or how could Circup, or how does other things handle Git repos? Short answer is, I don't know. It's a very broad question, I guess. If you could narrow it some, I might have a better answer, but the truth is I don't know very much about pip. Certainly not how it works. I don't really know that much about Circup, although I hope to learn more today. And how do things handle Git repos? How do other things handle Git repos? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean. How does it handle the Git repos? The repo, I'm not sure if we touch the repo as part of the Circup process or not. That'll be part of what we discover with Circup. I think that it might not touch the actual root repo. So like, I think, and can't hold me to this because I don't know if it's true yet, but I think when you would run Circup install Cedar Grove Chime, I don't believe, off the top of my head, I don't believe that it is actually hitting this repo at all. I don't think it's doing anything with this repo. I think my hypothesis before I look at anything is, I think when you would run Circup install Cedar Grove Chime, I think it's hitting the community bundle repo. I think it's hitting this repo, or it's downloading from some place that this repo uploads to, that the actions upload to. That's my guess, is that it's downloading either from here or downloading from this repo somehow. And then once that's downloaded, it will be looking inside of libraries and one of these things here, in our case helpers, to find Cedar Grove Chime which is just chime in here. It would find it from here in whatever it downloaded, and then that's what it would copy to your device. I think that's how it works. So I don't think it touches the like what I'll call target repo, or the repo for the actual target library. But I don't know. It does not. It uses PyPy site to store the packages, Circup requirements, or parse requirements to include Circup. So that was my thought as well, was to make like Circup requirements as a separate file that could use the Circup dependency format. Scott had the idea of including it in pyproject.toml, which is kind of like a meta information file, which I think seems fine to me because we already have that file. So instead of creating a new file, we can add it to a place where we've already got it. And we already know that our tool should be able to read toml fairly easily. Be able to read it out of there pretty easy. So once we get into that part, we'll try by adding it to there. Like adding library requirements as a Git repo. Oh, I see. Okay, so listing your requirements as the URL. Yeah, you could do it that way. I think our goal is to... I mean, it's worth broader discussion, I'd say. If you have ideas about it, I would say come over to the meeting if you can on a Monday and maybe join the discussion in the weeds or something. But I think that, in my mind, it makes the most sense to have things listed in the format that Circup wants, which is that Circup format, like I was talking about, the 8 or like this here. I think it makes the most sense for a list that Circup is going to ingest ultimately. Like our whole goal of building this list is so that Circup can read it. I think it makes the most sense to list them in the format that Circup is expecting rather than any other format and try to, you know, convert it over to this. Now, what we do today is read it from requirements.txt, and we do read it in that pip format, but I think that that makes sense for when it was added because requirement.txt already existed, was already there, it already had a list inside of it. There's already tools expecting to read it and find it and do stuff with it. We are now creating a new thing that is separate from requirement.txt because it's separate from PyPy. Therefore, I think we get to choose how we store it, and I think the easiest way to store it, the way that makes the code the least complex, is if we just store it as whatever it needs literally already inside Circup to work. If you're correct, community bundle gets built by Adabot, pulls the release versions of the community repo. That's a bit more complex. I think downloading from the bundle repo, MPY exist and are created this utility. You know, another interesting question though is what does it do when you use the py flag? I guess there is a Python bundle one as well. This utility looks at the libraries on the device, checks if they are most recent compared to versions found in most recent versions of Python. So what Circup says? Yeah, I guess up is for update. So yeah, I guess initially it was kind of an updating service more so than an installing. Arguably they're the same thing. I tend to use it for installing more than updating, but I also tend to just delete my libraries all willy-nilly while I'm testing other stuff frequently. So, all right, I'm gonna check out this one though before we get into the requirement stuff more. So this one is a PR that is adding the ability to Circup, the ability for Circup to work with the web workflow. So what we want to do to test this is get a device up and running with the web workflow and then use this version of Circup from the PR here and see if we can install a library with it. So step one there is get a device with web workflow running, which I've done before but don't remember exactly how, so I'm going to follow the guide. Okay, I have a Feather ESP32S, either 2 or 3, I don't know, but it's a TFT1. A boot out will tell us. S2. CircuitPy, that is sockets, NeoPixels. Okay, this is a server, connect WebSocket. Okay, this is socket server. This is this looks like just the example code from HTTP server. Yeah, I think this is just a sample code from HTTP server. We can delete this. stick that there for now. Sounds very handy for the V2 since the V2 only works in web workflow. Yeah, yes, this is absolutely, that's my understanding as well. Like, hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what this person was trying to do with it, right? They have one of the devices that is web workflow only, and they want to still use Circup because Circup is amazing. So I can definitely understand that. And they added the way to do this. Yeah, I should say also hug report to Vladek for doing this. Actually, it's really cool to add this functionality. I'm sort of stalling here as well while I check out my settings.toml file to make sure everything looks in order inside of there, which it does. So I can bring this back now. Okay, yeah, what else do we need to do here? Back to this device setup, download. Yep, already have that. Oh, I didn't check the port API web password. Okay, I wasn't done yet. Stuff. Port is on 80. Web API password. Okay, got it. Okay. Be good. Okay. Summary. Yep. Care about that? Oh, yeah, I guess we do care about that because otherwise we can't save files, which means we certainly can't install libraries. So we are gonna need that inside of BootPy. Oh yeah, okay. I was gonna say, I mean, it seems risky to just dump this inside BootPy, but I guess the thing is that once this is active, then web workflow can edit the code files, which means we can edit BootPy from the web workflow. And if we had to, we could edit it from REPL as well, actually. So don't think I will brick my device, but I already actually have this in here. I want to keep that, I think. So yeah, we'll just plunk that in the middle. Yeah. So if we need to, we can just get to REPL. You could, instead of removing it as well, you could just rename it to not BootPy. Or if you wanted to get really fancy, you could like f equals open and modify the stuff inside of it. f.write back to it or whatever. Hard reset, it should disappear. Okay. All right. We reset. And I'll come back. iCharm is sometimes a little slow on the uptake, I think. Okay, CircuitPy is gone. I don't think I have. I mean, I have multiple networks, but I don't. Not connecting. I'm just connecting to. There was a password, but there was no user. Blank or I want to say it's blank. I'm just gonna guess blank. That I was trying to click out of that first one, but it clicked out of the other one. There it is. That's good. Important. So we have device. How can I get this back? Is there like a, oh, is it info? It's probably this, right? Close this. Ah, there we go. Okay, nice. Okay, so we have a device, we have an IP, we have a version. Should we update? Probably up. Get much. I've yet to use BootPy for file writing. Except having USB connected disables access to writing flash from PyCode. Right. Yeah, no, on the V2 it won't need to be disabled like that. Would using an S2 be comparable? Oh yeah, I missed this question before. So comparable in some ways, but different in some other ways. Yeah, it's comparable in that like web workflow does support those devices as well, so we can do it, but different in that the the way the USB works is different. On the ESP32 S2 and S3, it has more capability, has the ability to do the whole story. For CircuitPy, they all do it for the boot. That's my knowledge. So I don't know if it's true or not. Some of them are bin only, so it's probably not. Okay, we should be on 827 now. So if we maybe, I don't know, do you need to refresh or? Nice. 7. Got our IP. No other devices on our network. So yeah, let's open code.py. What is this? Oh, I guess I made a www. Second, I was like, where's CodePy? Does underscore come before dot alphabetically? All right, so we edit this. I'm assuming reddish, orangish right here is telling us that it's unsaved. So we have save and run, or we have save. I guess so. I suppose the difference is this is going to take us over to serial. Yeah. Cool. The web editor has gotten really nice. I have not used the web editor in a minute. I don't know how this works. Somehow this is also using the actual web. Like we're on a local IP or whatever, but this stuff came from code.circuitpython.org. Device doesn't store all this like CSS and all the images and everything used for this, I don't think. Yeah, that seems like it went fine though. We got our edited version, so I think we're good here. So now let's look at the list. Let's look at what libraries we have installed. There's another utility that's actually really good for this. Neradoc made it. Think of the name off the top of my head right now. I can't think of the name. I hope I'm not wrong about Neradoc making it. I'm pretty sure that was. It's like a visual version of Circup. It's the ability to use a GUI for Circup to kind of like click new libraries onto your device. I'm here for Circup today, though. We seem good to go here, so I think we have our web workflow set up. I guess one thing is we just need to know what libraries I do have, and maybe how do I delete a file? We have the ability to delete or rename. Oh, rename selected folder or file, delete selected folder or file. Okay. I'm gonna look inside lib, and inside of here we have a lot of stuff, so I'm gonna actually, you know what, let's do chime, right? Chime is the one we are working on ultimately. Let's do that. So I don't think I would, looks like I don't think I have it yet, so let's cancel to close out of this. Let's get this. We're gonna want to get this version, this branch from the PR. I think I have Circuit. I don't know. Here, doc. Disco tool. That's right. Thank you. Disco tool. Super cool. That is another thing that would help, like, in the absence of this feature in Circup, which, like, we test this out and it works, we merge the PR and then it will be in Circup as well. But in the world where that's not in Circup, Disco tool is actually a super helpful tool for that as well. And visual. So if you happen to be more of a GUI person than a mainline person, then there's not very much code in here. Where's the actual code come from? Config, init? It's all inside init, I guess. Okay, yeah, it is. Must be because we're at 100 lines inside of here. Okay. Okay. So we need to check, well, we need to update first about what we're going. It remote, who's remotes? Origin is Adafruit. Remote name. I don't need, do I need to add a remote? I don't need to add a remote right now. Let's just go PR list. Now we have the version of Circup from that PR. Or on the branch of that PR. But what we need now is we need to get this version like installed, or we need to have a way to test it. We need to have a way to run this version, which probably tricky because we have the regular version. Like, I have it installed also. It's a very strange place for that to be installed. Why is there 2 slashes, first of all? And also, I'm just surprised this is not in the Python, right? Didn't I install Circup with pip ultimately? Surprised that doesn't exist just in, like, the Python, like Python bin, or same place where the pip binary is. Like setup tools and binaries in there. Like Gunicorn gets put in there when you install it as well. Huh. Okay, well, whatever. Let's pip, let's Circup -- version. We have 124. What's the actual newest one? I think I'm actually, maybe not actually. But there is actually a merge from 5 days ago, and there was no release for it. Port ID CP version. Oh, yes. They wanted this a while back. I would not have thought. That's clever. I would not have thought of putting the boot out in there to fake it out, basically. Cool. Okay, yeah, unrelated though. But it got merged but not released. So 124 is the newest one, but technically there should be a newer one, truthfully. Which actually raises the question, should we make a release? We probably should make a release before, probably should make a release before we merge the PR, if we do end up merging the PR, because we should have a version where this is the only change. Whereas if we merge that PR and then make a release, then we have one version with 2 changes. It's not like the end of the world, but it's like, as somebody who spent a lot of time this week looking at different versions of Nina firmware that have the same version number but are different, it'd be nicer to have. So I'm gonna make a release before we I don't know how that was generated. So we had board ID and CPY version params. Dash board ID. And also URL lib did get bumped too. And I think that's it. 3 weeks ago, I think was the other release. We probably should bump like 130 actually. Be 130, I think. Because there's new functionality. And it would be another one when we add the web stuff. And it would be yet another one after that if we get our requirements stuff working. 92. How to use features. Thank you. That was Lint Itka. No, it wasn't. Oh, yes, it. I don't ever recall seeing a situation where the name here was different from the name here. It's an organism. There's not really like a lot of the libraries have a like to use this library look here type. Tricky because we're like using a URL that doesn't exist yet, but okay. Uninstall it this way. I'm gonna say which Circup fail. I'm gonna say Circup help and it's fail. Failed from an 8. Though I don't know why it's that doesn't have the double select. You want to install this one, which we can do, I think, with pip install dot in the repo, like in the project folder, because it has. This one actually does not have pyproject.toml. Let's use setup. Oh, probably this should be updated. Probably this should be updated to pyproject.tom. I think we can still do it. got the version way wrong, but I mean that's because it was from 8 months ago. PR. That's probably what version it was then. So we should have now Circup installed that is the one from the PR. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the number's weird, but that's fine. So, okay, so let's try. So what do we need to do? Can I use 802? Sure, this might not be a problem for us. A while back, I know it's closed, so unresolved, or it might have gotten, yeah, 7-9. They don't say path or URL. Okay. Okay, so we would give it, I guess, like this. We'd go like Circup. Have to put path before. I always do I do -pi at the end. Circup install, let's say chime, and then let's say path. Not find connected device. Maybe I should use the IP. 117 or 19? 80. It's 3 minutes ago. A lot of usage path. Works. I will say one thing that can help get your PRs reviewed quicker, what it's worth, is if you put in your comment here like instructions on how someone can test it. Like in this case, even a copy paste of a command would be super helpful. Probably would have got it tested sooner. It has been a while though, and I do when I get it merged in if it's all good. So what is, I don't get what we need to pass it. If it's HTTP, the URL path ends with pi or MPY. Why would the path ever end with .pi though? That doesn't make any sense, does it? I mean, it's basically just replacing the pi. Nothing. Here, that module init. Make sure this is still. I don't know what conflict. Well, Get rebase main. Rebase it to get version up to date. Yeah, VM, from what I understand, VMs are coming with force in the Pi 5. I'm not a huge fan, personally. I try to just use the base install whenever possible, even though that's like sacrilegious to Python people sometimes. Honestly, I tend to find it a lot simpler. What I will say actually is, historically, in my programming life with Python, I have found it a lot simpler to just use the base install Python rather than virtual environments now. What I will also say is virtual environments have gotten a lot better over the years that I have interacted with them, so interacting with them today is not quite as painful as it might have been in the past. But I still just find it a lot simpler to have one base install Python, and I don't work on enough different things to where I really want all those different VMs. But I do understand that I'm kind of not, that it's not the Pythonic way. That's not my way. I'll try that, get rebase. I don't use rebase very much, so I'm a little scared of rebase, if I could be honest. We'll see. Yeah, I'll give it a try, but I'm gonna make this as well, just in case this person happens to be around to answer back. Rebase main. So is that just like merging main? Have to deal with the merge conflicts for init? PyCharm every time I need a specific version makes it. Yeah, that's true. I will say managing it inside PyCharm with this little doohickey here, where you can just add new one and make a new virtual environment, that makes it, that does make it a lot easier. Yeah. I've never merged with the I've never merged with the GitHub page. But I mean, like, we will want to merge main before this PR would be ready to merge. That I think is true. But I'm not following, I don't think me having not merged main should stop this from working, should it? Because the branch we're on now is in the state it was in when the PR was submitted. Probably worked at the time. I guess something something external could have changed in the interim. Device path is none. Get device path. Takes host password and path. You have to uninstall or you install. That actually change versions? Right, trailing. Yeah, all three of those are none, which definitely. Yeah, it resets to main. It resets to main and then reapplies the commits for whichever branch you're on, so the PR. Commit referenced in the PR is v1.1 and version checking code knows that 1.3 exists. Oh, are you talking about this warning thing here? Where it's saying this thing here? Yeah. But that's fine too. This shouldn't prevent it from working, I don't think. Or ordinarily it will print this as like an info or a warning or whatever, like it will come out, but it doesn't stop it from working. Like if I had my device on USB, I could still run Circup, I'm pretty sure. In fact, we could unplug this. I'll plug in the Funhouse, which I happen to have here as well, which has USB storage enabled, and then we can just go circup install chime on this one with no path. I will do a -- pi because of the MPY stuff that's going on right now. And that as well on the other one. Oh. That failed too. Guess never mind with that. Okay. I guess we'll try merging main. But it was blocking. Okay, yeah, no, the this one it just warns you. I mean it used to it. Trace back in and why we're saying none for all three of those, right? Main came in as path, host, and password. Probably should not have been printing my password here, huh? It was none, I guess. Yeah, here's our version check. Early if the word list. Not super, say, like in tune with click. I don't know the click syntax very well, so I'm not sure. Exactly where the entry point and how all of this stuff goes together. But I need to learn this anyway in order to try to get the requirement stuff working, so better time than now. So I mean install. Okay, here's requirements, okay. So right in here somewhere, we would want to be doing that pyproject.toml, try to read our other list of requirements. Or maybe inside of here would actually probably make sense. Oh, well, I didn't pass host and password. That's why those are none. Are those arguments that aren't documented? How do you pass those? So this says -- host, which makes it sound like that's an argument. But my understanding is all of these things. No, that's not true. These aren't the arguments. Where's like -- pi? How does that work? It's -- pi. Okay, I think we need to fill in somehow. Why is that not different though? That was different, right? What? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I follow changing this wholesale from path to URL. Like, if the thing is that we're supporting either, I don't necessarily think it makes sense to change from one word to the other. We do still actually support both. I don't necessarily think it makes the most sense to leave it as path either. And path or URL is quite wordy. But yeah, I don't know that device URL is. I guess okay, but I guess what they're saying though is like the file protocol is still, you can make a URL with the file protocol. Could it be Cedar Grove Chime? I don't think so, but I don't know. How do you import it? It should be however you import it, I believe. Okay. Yeah, I think it should be like that. But I also don't think that's what's breaking it. I think we're needing to pass host and password. But honestly, it's weird. Why would we need to pass both host and path as a URL? That part doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. How do I find this more? Click option, host. Okay. Maybe I'm not supposed to be using path. Didn't the change made it sound like path? Oh, there's three comments? By the second comment? Okay. I think I just didn't read enough. I think the thing I saw here, I really wish there was like expand all or something. Like, I really want to expand the rest of these without scrolling and clicking one at a time. I think the thing I was looking at is not the command line arguments. This is init inside of module. Yeah, this is init inside of module. It's not dash dash path. It's not the command line argument. That's not what this is talking about. So I need to not pass path, and instead I need to pass host and password, I believe. It's a shame that you just need to put your password in plain text. Apparently that's what we gotta do though. Maybe path would be the path to the CPY folder on the web UI with the password included in the URL. Maybe, but I'm thinking it's these now. I'm thinking I was a red herring. I think I just confused myself looking at that other argument that happened to be name path, but I think was not talking about command line argument, a constructor argument, function argument. I think host and path. not installed right, or I mean it's. Okay, so actually I guess I could have taken that. Well, I don't know though. Something is still broken, right? Because this should have worked with the funhouse. Like that, I think should have worked. This is a different error. Okay, hold up. Yeah, I was not paying close enough attention. This is a different error. Says device URL. Device can be either file or HTTP based. Return a tuple with the version string for CircuitPython and the board string. It says if scheme equals HTTP, get version HTTP. If scheme equals empty, get version file. And both of these return. So if we make it to here, that means neither of those was true. We print that. So it looks to me like this code has blank stream here, but what we actually got was file colon path slash slash. I should probably just merge main. Okay, I went back to the funhouse. Okay. The device URL was file colon quad slash media tim c CircuitPy. Is not a supported scheme file. So it's almost like it was not expecting to have this part of it. But I mean, the only thing we're tripping on is the if statement. I think it would work if we would just call this function, right? So if we just say or, will this work? Okay. This, I think, might be unrelated. Now we got a problem downloading the bundle, but thinks it found a 9.0. It's probably looking for a 9.0 bundle, which doesn't exist yet, I don't think, and so it's not going to succeed. It is weird because we did dash dash pi, like it's that in I don't know. I think what I'm going to do is downgrade Does this PR edit the README? One thing we should do, I think, is edit the README. Oh, what is this? What is this file for? I don't know if we need that. Okay. We have a fun house that's on 827. Installer. Hey, wait. Hey, hey, wait. Didn't it do it? Didn't it just do it? Got them both. How did it do that? Okay. Well, that's matter if it works. The short answer is no, and the medium answer is that my brain does not typically let me get off that easily. Brain tends to really want to know how and why when that thing is so yeah, it does not matter that much, but will unfortunately occupy still. Okay, it worked because of this, probably, I guess. Probably worked because, but then did this cause this to fail? Yeah, because what happened is it ran pip install -r requirements text. It found this in here, and that doesn't work. Okay. Okay. I didn't realize I didn't realize that worked, actually, that if you put it in there, that it would, still be able to install it. I guess I figured it would accidentally mangle the name when it's trying to convert from pip naming to Circup naming, since it doesn't know that you actually put the Circup naming. But it is going to break pip, so we do need to move that list else. Okay, so our current Circup, the new Circup, the released Circup is fine. It installs stuff fine. My guess then is the reason that our modified one is not working is some change that happened between the time the PR was made and now. So we do kind of have to bite the bullet and merge main and hope that that is going to fix it. So I'm going to say pip uninstall Circup. That's good to know that it does work, actually, though, that it does actually do the install. And that the only, the thing that it has trouble with then is the actions after the fact when it's trying to that pip install. Although this doesn't show the fail here. Where was that fail? It was all the way back here. So then, but wait, what does it have in it now? Not have it in, but I mean, it must be. No, it's not in there anymore. Okay, we saw got an old action. I think I'm caught up now. Yeah, I hadn't realized that you had tried it and that it worked with Circup, but not with actions. Although I would have guessed that pip was going to crash. Potentially, you could modify. I mean, you have a couple of options. Like, I believe it's best not to put a thing inside requirements.txt that will break pip, because to the best of my knowledge, requirements.txt is a pip idea. Like, it came from pip, my understanding. But it's primarily used with pip in my understanding, so it's best not to break it in there. So I do think, even though it does work, it is probably best to move it somewhere else. An alternative option, though, an alternative option to that could be, you could just stick it in there. It's your own library. You know that it doesn't support pip, and if you're fine with that, that can be fine. And what you could do is modify the action to be okay with failing that step of the install. I would definitely still like to pursue moving it to somewhere else, perhaps pyproject.toml. But the fact that it does actually do the install as is means that you could just put it in there, your own repo, and like, you know, it's broken and don't, you know, as long as you're not trying to use it with that, then it doesn't matter. You could modify your actions not to crash if it fails. Okay, so we're uninstalled. We want to, okay, one thing I need to do though is I need to probably get, I have changes. I need to get rid of my changes. I added some prints. I'm just gonna revert, or I'm just gonna back to the state it was in the PR, and then we need to merge from main. I think I updated main earlier, but I'm gonna. Okay, we'll see. Hopefully it's not super bad. So, and actually, if I'm gonna want to push this, which I am, then we're gonna need to have this remote. Right, down this road, get remote add, is it VLADAK, VLADK, is that? And this. Fetch. And then what we can actually do is I can check out main and delete my local instance of web workflow, which came from running GHPR checkout. I can then go to remotes, VLADAK, and web workflow checkout. And now my local web workflow is actually hooked up to the remote web workflow as well. As long as we have permission inside GitHub, then it will let me push to it now, which it would not have done before. I would have gone to push and it would said we don't have a remote. Probably we could set it somehow, but this would. All right, merge main. Let's see, how bad is it? Could be worse. Could be worse, could be better. So all these colored things here, those are differences. So we got to go through and basically use the correct ones from the correct sides. This whole. I'm surprised. Oh, okay, just move down below. Okay, fair enough. Let's pull from the. And this, I will say, this like huge hug report to PyCharm, this process would take me a lot longer and it would come with a lot more anxiety without this nice pretty GUI that just lets you pull from the left, pull from the right, even has magic wands when they overlap that usually work pretty well. This GUI makes the merge process like a million times more approachable. Is that async IO? Not standard names. Thing. Non-standard on Adafruit.io. Why is that removed? Extract metadata? I don't see any reason to remove it. I mean, it's logger.info, so you can always set the log level if you don't want to see it. Is it wrong or something? If it's wrong, we should address whatever's wrong about it. I think I'm inclined to keep it. Like, it's still... Oh... ahead sometimes. I think if Control Z will undo that. So they actually just moved it. It was here, but now it's way down outside the if. Okay. So we will pull from. Info is the log level that always shows up when you have logging on. I gotcha. But you could disable the logging. You can set the level you see to be higher. I don't use more of a just print. Print is fine for me. I don't need the colors and the levels and all that stuff. I do like it when errors are red. That part's nice. What is different? This doesn't look different to me. Is it spelled wrong? Why is that different? Like that. Oh, URL versus path. Okay. Oh, you know, the other change I had was that file thing. We do need to make sure to test if it works with USB. It's unclear if this person, it seems like they tested the web part, but it's unclear if they did actually test the USB part. Different device. They would have had to use a different device. Yeah, sometimes when you're doing the merge here, these will get red underlines because the function having this name actually is part of the same merge, so it doesn't know that that function exists, that name yet. Figure it out though once it's like this I block happier. I don't know. I kind of like the parentheses, but matter. So, I mean, it's not specifically intended for V2. It is intended for any device that uses web workflow. The thing about the V2 is that the V2 has to use web workflow. So, I mean, I guess in that way it's intended for it, but it's really not intended for it specifically as a device, just anything that uses web workflow. But your other point is absolutely true. If the V2 is the only device they tested on, that means they would not have tested you. Not have the same USB. But we want to test it on USB anyway to make sure that the changes to make it work with web workflow don't accidentally break it for people who are using USB, which will still most likely be the majority of you. Wouldn't want to add a feature that helps a few users but breaks it for the majority. Okay. So it looks like we lost this if name in device modules blank is already installed. You know what I notice here? This one says URL scheme HTTP and then it just says else rather than the else equals empty string. Same thing here as well, actually. It looks like we lost a print, right? It looks like we lost this. But I'm not sure that we want to go without. Blank is already installed. It's another case where it just got moved somewhere. Okay. Inside of install module, it currently exists at 1236. Ah, it's back up there. Okay, but okay. Pull that. Pull all of this. Luckily, we haven't had any blocks where it's like got changes on both sides of the same place. That's what tends to make this still not bad. Prod accept. Oh, I think I jinxed myself. Okay, so the thing is that board ID and CPY version, these are new. So these came in from main, they don't exist on the PR branch yet. Then these two are also new, but these two came from the PR. So we want to pull those from there. And we actually want to pull these from here so that we end up with all of them. Want those two new ones from the PR and these two new ones from main. Leaves us with Circup there matching all the way across, and then here we get tricky because there's actually now gonna need to be 4 arguments here. Actually, pull that. That's gonna try to pull it as an entire line, but really what we want is these two things right here. I don't want 2 def mains. Okay, so host, password, and now board ID and CPY version. Okay, so it looks like we have some new... Oh, no. This is not new. This just got expanded. I don't know, probably black changed or something and caused this to want to expand itself. Looks like it's actually the same code though. Auto, no auto. It looks different, but I guess, I mean, we want to keep it however it is in main. So. Why did these get removed? Dull. I mean, it is in main that way, so I guess we take it, but I'm not sure why those comments got removed. They seem helpful to me. All right, all changes have been processed. Whoops. All right, no Circup installed. This, it would show us a bunch of commits. And if we go pip dot call it, does it I mean, we could make it an object, I guess. We have a context on putting some stuff on there. Only reuse, but it's just on files that are inside of IDEA. Passing. The only thing I change is pilot, so we don't really need to install the new version. Can't hurt anything. Okay. So now did you make a release of Chime after you removed that from requirements? Because it's weird that we got that. Last week, badge link. Maybe, I think maybe this release might have came before. Oh, but that added it. Okay, and then one after that has... Okay, yeah. I think there's... whenever you make a new release, it will get the newest requirements text, which means that it won't have MIDI tools, that it won't install anymore. Right now, you're actually in kind of an in-between state where it's not in the repo, so you're passing actions, but it is in the release, most recent release. Therefore, Circup is actually noticing it. Kind of the best of both worlds in a way. We don't. Yeah, I installed that on the Funhouse. We don't have that on this one. Let me make sure that I'm actually still connected here. Not connected here at all. I'm gonna go host. Probably just part, right? Probably doesn't need the key. Yeah. Password after this. Device. Then after this, we'll also try maybe HTTP. Host name or IP address. Nice if it had an example. We try HTTP. Not technically part of the host. Should I try this? That device path is done still. Are host password and path still done? The IP has probably got a better chance. Are still none on all of them. Is there an order thing that matters? How do these get added? I don't know very much about click. How does it translate this into these? Path? Try that, but I mean, the fact that there's host and password makes me think those are what we're supposed to use instead of path. I know I went down the path road first, but I think now that I was wrong, because if, or I guess what I'll say is, if you can do it with path, then I think we should remove these two options. If these two options are not required for doing the web workflow, then they should not exist, I think. If this one lets you do both, then we don't need these. So the fact that these two exist make me think they need. But I'll try path in a minute here. That way with the HTTP or whatever. If these got filled in, like maybe if the order matters and accidentally like host is in this and password is in this or something. Kind of doubt it, but oops. I think password is optional. I have it on, yeah, it's in my settings. I have to use the password. I had to put the password in order to see it in the browsers. I could try without to make it simpler, but it's gonna have to work with, so I feel like testing with probably the way to go. But I also don't think the password is what's breaking it. I think it's the fact that all these things are none, of which the password is one, but all of them are none, and that work. But it's kind of black boxy, right? Like, I don't know who calls this. Like, I don't know where this gets, so it gets called here, but here but it doesn't pass anything, so. I don't think we're executing this way, but I don't. Not get that. So yeah, we're not going through here. So I don't know who, when it executes for us, I don't know who's responsible for calling main. Somehow main is getting called by click, I guess. And I don't know how it's choosing the names or how it's passing the arguments, but it's failing to do so. Ooh, we need to add these things. So here it doesn't have any, like, I mean, these are options, I guess. It does have all these, okay. Wait, but this is install, not main. Well, you have to use a password. I thought you could put the password blank. But the front page response, you can't see the files. If serial responds, that's a little weird because you can get REPL and then look at files anyway. So the serial should probably require the password too. So I don't know, how do we get from main to install? Does main come before install? But we're not going to be able to tell because we're not getting past main. Well, okay, so we could tell if install comes first, which means I guess we can narrow it down, because if we don't see this, then we know that main comes first. No. So we never made it inside install. So main is calling install. And main is getting called by question mark, not sure who or how or why. but when we call it, it's not working. Well, I mean, it's executing, but these things are not coming through. Post and password don't come through. We have defaults. Comprehensive logging. We try that. Maybe they're not supposed to be at the end. Maybe I'm not allowed to put them at the end. I'm used to putting dash dash pi at the end, but maybe these need to actually be at the beginning. I should have copied those. Because these are arguments of Circup, as is install an argument of Circup, but dash dash pi, as well as this name, in fact, are arguments of install, not arguments of Circup. So this kind of makes sense in my head. It worked. So far. Yes, it seems to have worked. Do you need a speaker to use that? Probably, right? Or I guess it's MIDI though, huh? I2S out. Yeah. I have one of those. Does this thing know if it's not connected? Oops. Wait, what? Oh, you can't erase? Wait, what? Oh, wait, what? I swear I did Control A and then backspace. Love to see Control S working web context. Like, do what you want instead of offering to save the HTML page, which is never what anyone wants. It doesn't print. But it doesn't crash, which means that Chime did get installed. Got an extra space in here, it looks like. That's it. Okay, I'll be right back. It's I2S, but it'll run without a device. I2S has no handshake. Nice, okay. And the fact that we made it to here proves that it did not crash, because it would have crashed on import a while back. I'm going to switch up the music. I run restroom real fast, and I'll be right back. BRB. Cool. So that works. We could test the -A. We delete the library. Clicks here. There could be, like, it'd have to be on the website though, I assume. I don't think the API back to the device has a delete. Always send one request per one file delete. But the front end, the JavaScript in here, could let you select multiple and then for loop the requests for you. Okay, so this should fail now. This should fail. If we run it again, it should. You get control. Oh. I don't know why. Like we weren't receiving those things, or I don't know what that was about. But yeah, it did fail a few times. Because we no longer have that library. Completed it. But now can we go? -A. But one thing we should do is update this. This is a copy paste of the output of running the --help. And we should update this because now there's new stuff. We should also, I think, add an example of the web workflow version. Like we have examples of lots of other commands here. We should have a new one that is an example of the web workflow where it has the host and the password, although we'll use a fake password. That is something we should do as part of this change with the workflow stuff. Okay, let's try the -A. Oh, I didn't actually find it. Is it -A? Auto. Auto is actually not even. Have it. So this should look at CodePy and install anything that's inside of it that CodePy needs. Huh. That looks like the actual URL you had. So it looks like it's it is constructing that internally. It should be FS, should it? I think it should be FS. FS? I don't know if you can have multiple in. That didn't work with the. Okay, I think we found a bug. I'm pretty sure that is not finding CodePy because it needs an FS. No idea how do we track down where that's coming from in the code though. Nice, path needs to be, okay. Browsers no longer enter basic password for you, even if it's in the URL. Why on earth do they not? Why does it not just tell you it's an invalid URL? It's not gonna fill. Well, this time it is. Well, it's asking me, so you could argue whether it's me filling it in or it filling it in. Frankly, though, if they're gonna not fill it in, they should just stop supporting this stuff. They should just, you enter it here and it should just say invalid URL. You're not allowed to do that. Because I'll tell you, yesterday, just yesterday, in fact, I was participating in Capture the Flag event, and one of the flags was hidden behind a vulnerability that basically was those weird URLs being exploited. Shout out Hug Report to John Hammond on YouTube, and Sneak did a Capture the Flag event yesterday. And actually, if you're interested, the challenges are still up. I don't know if you can still register or not, but I had a lot of fun with it. There's lots of web challenges for Capture the Flag events. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm still going to try to do a few more. I may do I may stream a little bit. Yeah, I did. It ran yesterday. It was officially 9 a.m. Eastern yesterday to 9 a.m. Eastern this morning. So it's technically over the 24-hour window, but they said they were going to keep the challenges live for about a week. I intend to try a few more of them. Been too busy to participate. Watch some of his videos on solves. Nice. Yeah, he's got a lot of cool videos on YouTube on him. That's actually how I found out about Capture the Flag, was through some of other John Hammond's videos. But I had a lot of fun. It was a fun event. The capture the challenges that I did attempt were super fun to do. Interesting challenges. I actually learned a couple of little nifty things here and there as well. So one of them being that those URLs with those @ signs and those colons for that basic login, that's tricky business. You got to be careful with that stuff. Turns out there are some libraries that don't parse that stuff the right way, and people can use it to things that are not meant to be able to sometimes. Yeah. Sorry, I got on the sidetrack there. Where are we at? So we need to figure out how auto works, basically. Auto is, you can use -a, okay. Auto file. What is auto file? It says absolute path, so maybe we could give it the FS. I suspect we need to be fixing that FS. Well, let's see. Where does auto get auto? If auto or auto file CodePy, if. So we should somewhere, we should have like if web or if file, right? If not is absolute auto file, and is relative auto file equals, that says device path auto file CodePy. If not, OS is file auto file click auto file not found, which is what we got, right? So our problem is nothing has added FS. And right now, device path, this thing right here contains this URL. So is there not there should be an FS hard-coded somewhere, right? Here we go. It's 2 FSs. They're both for lib. I wonder if we should be just... I wonder if we should be having FS in the device path, but we shouldn't make the user type it either, right? So, well, but they wouldn't have to. I'm surprised that it installed successfully. When it posted those files to install these, it would have, shouldn't it? Well, but it used the FS. All module. So I think inside auto, I think the easiest way to do this is inside auto, we need logic like this, basically, right? Because we have different, there's two different logics here. Okay. So auto file, I think we can ignore because that's going to be CodePy, or if the user sets it, then that's whatever. Now, what's tricky is this is like, checking if it's relative or absolute. It says if not path is absolute autofile and not is relative. How can it be both not absolute and not relative? Okay, so this happens. This all happened, and then this if statement happened. If not, OS path is file. We can't use that logic anymore either, actually. Unless this is like overridden somehow. That's not going to work. We need to... We need to check if it exists via the web workflow. Okay. I think what I'm going to do for now is, what are my changes? Add a pilot fix. We have some print statements. That's it. I am going to get rid of all the print statements. Keep the pilot fix because it's needed. It's not a fix, it's an ignore, but keep the pilot ignore because it's needed past pre-commit. And I'm going to commit push so that the PR is up to date with the merged code. So now our change, we should have only one change, and it's pilot ignore. Are identical. Did I not keep the pilot ignore? Or exactly where I had that before. Let me catch up on the chat. I'm the architect of a web application with 2,500 customers and about 20,000 users. Wow, security audit we did was interesting. That is a lot. I am the architect of a few web applications, but with way fewer customers and users. Autofile FS code would do it. I think it will still fail due to the code that came after that. So that gets us slightly farther. That gets us to where we have a proper URL, but we actually still have the same problem because it's not os.path.is file will always fail because this is looking at local files on the PC in our case, expecting it to be connected USB. We need another if branch here ish somewhere in here, perhaps wrapping all this stuff that says if it's local USB, then do it this way, which is the code we have here. And if it's web, then we need to have new code for this. And ultimately we'll slip in the FS here as well. Although to your point, yeah, if the user knows about that other argument and actually fix that part of it themselves. Technically, if we just fixed this support web stuff, then the rest would work as long as pass autofile. But ultimately, we will not. Did we pass our last prerequisite? Yes, accept reuse. That's fine because files that aren't real. Our only change is the that's gonna push all of our commits from merging earlier. And then now it's also gonna push the one new commit, which I added on top. Have our merge and we have our new commit. See if that ends up passing. And I also here and put something around is down there. Gotta read. Can't make comments. And we go. Okay. And the other thing is, I think there are places are a speed device fail. Found auto command. I'm gonna go without file first. I think we're gonna wrap it up after I get this did. Definitely ready to get up and move around a bit. Do you think we have... I think I understand enough about the way Circup works now, though, to be able to try to tackle the TOML. Broken out into dependencies. But then call the exact same thing that we're now on the list from requirements. Only thing I guess that could be a snag there is if we don't have that TOML, have the requirements file but not the TOML file in the place where Circup is looking. And but I think I know where in the Circup. That down. Around that by using auto file. Mic limiter dropped some of my voice. Sorry, yeah, I'm just talking quieter and kind of far away from it. Me that time. Let's see. Makes it have the proper URL. But it still fails to here. tab that was in. One of these tabs has the line of code that we want. Really skippy. That's just me getting too far away and too quiet, probably. Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna actually put this in a requested chain. I don't know if this person will be interested in doing it. It's been a while since they made the original PR. Not, then we'll try to get back around to it, and appreciate you finding the dependency. I'll update requirements for all my bundles where needed. Oh, and re-release them after. Yep, and it is up to you if you want them to work in the. If you want them to work right now, you can just put them in requirements, and then I still will try to make it work in the TOML file, or you can just hang out now without adding them, and then eventually we'll try to make it work in the TOML. Totally up to you. But yeah, it does. It's nice that it does actually let you work, and if it's your repo, you know that pip is not going to work. Then it may not matter. You could even ultimately update the actions if you want it eventually so that it doesn't fail. But you could also just live with the actions failure. My own goes a lot than the CircuitPython ones. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for now. Thanks for hanging out, folks. I will be back. I should be back next week at the normal time, 10 a.m. Central Time. Here on YouTube and Twitch, the Adafruit Discord and the live broadcast chat channel. That's the place where you can find us. That's the chat that's on the screen. I imagine everyone knows that, but okay. Thank you for hanging out, everybody. Hope you all have a good rest of your day and weekend. I will see you next week. If you are interested in the web application capture the flag type stuff, security web application type stuff, I won't make any promises, but what I'll say is if you are interested in that kind of stuff and you keep an eye out for a notification in the next couple of days, I probably will stream at least once doing some of that kind of stuff. So if that interests you, keep an eye out for that. If not, then I'll be back next week for regular CircuitPython stuff. Yeah, hope you have a nice week. I'll see you later.